A very happy day to all of you, my friends. Friends, my name is Anjali Gupta. I am a coach of public speaking. Friends, I welcome you all to my show, The Anjali Show. Why is the Anjali Show so special, my friends? Well, it is special because it is all about you. We invite all the influencers, people who are professionals, speakers, non-speakers, to share a message that they have to share with the world. In case you have a message to share too, you can always join us and get connected with us to appear on the Anjali Show. Friends, today we have an esteemed guest amongst us. Her name is Mrs. Neerja Singh. Let me read out a small bio about her. She's a teenager. Can you guess what a teenager stands for? Well, she is a senior teenager. My friends, she's a professional speaker on generational issues with 37 years of work experience. Yes, my friends, 37 years of work experience and a senior teenager. Isn't that a deadly combination? In her life experience, she has been an advertising executive, prize-winning fiction writer, featured journalist, teacher, documentary script writer, TV anchor, and professional columnist. She addresses India's never before generation gap. She's also the president of Delhi chapter of Professional Speakers Association of India. And can you guess what her topic is today, my friends? Well, friends, her topic is, which would be of an interest to not only the parents, but also the teenagers as well. And the topic is, should teenagers have privacy? Over to you, Neerja ma'am. We look forward to hearing from you and so very much welcome on our show. Welcome. You are on mute, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Anjali. This is something I really look forward to because it's a topic which is very, very close to my heart. Let me jump into it, dive into it right away.
Sure.
I'm going to start with a question to everybody, anybody who's listening out there. And the question is, do you and we as a species want to survive? Do we want to survive still? Because it seems more and more that the biological or the spiritual, that primal urge to survive seems to wane at times. We see a lot of changes, young people who are not wanting to get married, to start families. There's so many changes happening around us. Our needs have changed, our expectations have changed. So the question to start with, do we want to survive as a species? And if I suspect the answer is yes, then we have a lot of work to do. You and I literally are standing on the shoulders of our ancestors. Anjali and I and you, my friends, especially Anjali and I, we are standing on the shoulders of our ancestors, right? There were people, our fathers, mothers, forefathers, who invested in us. They were the reason that we've turned out healthy, productive, and functional. We have all of these things because our parents exercised control over our upbringing. But today, that control is not as integral. It doesn't have that kind of integrity anymore. That control is being snatched away from the modern parents by the online world. And that is where the question of privacy comes. Who are these people? Who are these agencies who've taken over control from the parents? These are peddlers of pain in some cases. They could be dealers of drugs, pushy marketeers, and some unaccountable strangers in the world of internet, which you and I know can be extremely, extremely addictive. Now, let me put a disclaimer right away. The idea is not to be alarmist or sound, a lot of alarm that we are facing a huge crisis. No. But we also have to be realistic. We also have to acknowledge we cannot afford to dismiss certain experiences that many of us are going through and perhaps not voicing it. Now, when I say should teens have privacy, remember when Anjali and I and many of us were teens, what did privacy mean? Privacy meant that adults will not enter your room or search your room in some cases, or they will not go through their bags, or they will not read your private diary. That was the extent of privacy. Today, privacy is something extremely, extremely different. It has several, multiple nuances. And most of that privacy is related to the lives of teenagers online. Therefore, to clarify to everybody, when we are talking of privacy of teenagers, we are primarily talking of their online privacy. Now, what all is there online? Well, we know there's pornography online. There are predators online, predators of young people, young children. There are activities that literally you and I as parents would never imagine or have the vocabulary for. See, it's the things that our teenagers are experiencing online. You and I would never permit it in the physical world. No way. You wouldn't. But these things are taking place. And my premise is that the digital highway is one of the most serious threats to the health and potency of the generation that we are going to leave behind. You know, I am sure you've heard that there is an emergency vault of seeds in Norway somewhere. What that vault does is store all the biodiversity that humans have gathered over millions and millions of years of our human civilization. And more today, I get the thought that perhaps it's time now that we'll have to start creating a human healthy gene vault, a vault for the human DNA. Because I do believe, I'm not 100% certain that the generation that I will leave behind will be as healthy as I am. Because the young today are just getting too fatigued, sleep deprived, distracted, heartbroken. It somehow seems that I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I suspect that they may not have the stamina and the resilience for a lifetime of living. You understand? A lifetime of living. Now, my generation was brought up by parents to believe that life is a struggle. But the millennials and the Gen Z, the youngsters today, for some reason, they're growing up with this picture that life is an Instagram image, peachy in color, everything in order, filtered, tinted. But see, that is not how life is. You join college and you think everything will be hunky-dory when you graduate, but you realize later that the work has to carry on. That's what life is. Now, a few things that are happening today. Number one, your home is not private anymore. It used to be. But today, inside your home, your teenager could be intimate with people that you don't know at all. In your teenager's life, there may be people who are extra constitutional. You understand? They're not related to your family in any legal way. They're extra constitutional, but they have influence over your child. These are people they're meeting online. So literally, the global world has invaded the homes and the minds of our children. And this is happening through the smartphone. So when you're handing over that smartphone to your teens, you're giving them access to spaces that are dodgy. Let's say they are dodgy. So, and it is not unusual today in many of our homes that the parents and the teens, they're living on two different wavelengths. Even if a child asks for privacy and shuts the door, and you're thinking that the child is home, but actually the child is not home. The child is roaming the digital highways. Now, what can a parent do under the circumstances? It's a lot of peer pressure for a parent also to not give their child a smartphone. So the thing to do is privacy needs to be defined clearly to the young person. It also has to be made clear that privacy will have to be earned. It cannot be demanded as a right. That is my personal belief. And I'm a teenager. I'm also talking with the benefit of hindsight. These things have to be discussed. I think in many Indian homes, we are not talking about these things. We get a smartphone, it's unboxed, you just give it to a child, and the child is on their own. I believe today, when you are getting your child a smartphone, sit with your child when you're unboxing it. It's one of the new things that children are very fond of doing. They love unboxing. Sit with them, unbox the smartphone, and talk to them about the smartphone. Talk to them about the sites. But to be able to do that, you first have to educate yourself. You and I have to be informed that this is the world that exists on the smartphone. I need to make my child aware to all the dangers that are lurking there. So this is something that you have to do, all of us, and with a sense of curiosity and empathy, not with a sense of policing them, because that is not going to work, especially at that age. Teenagers are fiercely protective of their privacy. Now, how do you judge? How do you judge whether your teenager will be able to exercise this, privilege with a sense of responsibility? Parents, adults can observe the child, can also look back. You have an idea of how responsible your child has been, how mature the child has been. Has he been coming back at home at the time that they said they would? Were they accountable? Did they keep their word? So that's a good way to judge whether the child has earned that smartphone. But you also have to remember, I think a parent of a teenager just cannot afford to go to sleep today. A child is a work in progress. So even if a particular child has been trustworthy, tomorrow it might happen that they may experiment. So literally speaking, we are living in a world where the onus is on parents to stay alert, to stay relevant, to literally stay one step ahead. It's important today because the world out there is just looking for eyeballs. The digital world is a profiteering world. And if many of you would have seen by now the documentary, The Social Dilemma, we've seen what goes on in that world, where all this programming is carried out. And something that is really evocative, it tugs at your heartstrings. They used to say once upon a time that you could lose a child to plague or to malaria or to an accident, but believe you me, today we can lose a child to the internet. I'm not exaggerating. It can happen right under your nose. In your home, you could lose your child. Your child is open to a lot of influences. It's important for you to establish a connection with your child so that the child can share with you without being afraid of criticism or judgment or anger or fear from you. If they're able to tell you where all they are going on the internet, what all they are seeing there, who all they are talking with, that would be the safest. I'm going to share a quick example, a personal example with you. I have a friend whose daughter discovered that her face had been morphed on Instagram and an inappropriate image had been overlaid on that. Fortunately, that girl had the maturity and had the sense of connection with her parents. She was able to share it with them, and they were able to promptly take action and have that image taken down. Now, just imagine the stress on the child. the fear, if she had not felt that comfortable with the parents. And literally, teenagers, your reputations are at stake, because we are living in a world where a child's data is being collected right from childhood. Your baby pictures, many parents today, they take pictures of their children right when they are born, and they're so happy and proud to show off their children. Many of us do that. So there's a humongous amount of data about a child, about a teenager, that is out there. And if that data is not put there carefully, literally a whole lot of harm can come to you, and not just to the teenager, even to the entire family. Which brings us back to the crux of the debate, that have you earned the right to your privacy? Can you demand it as your fundamental right? There are definitions, there are rules there. UNICEF has laid down rules on child's rights to freedom of expression and online presence. But ultimately, remember that when the consequences happen, the primary support system of a teenager is still the parents. And it's not any of the other agencies that we talk about. These agencies are involved in making the policy, but the primary frontline support comes from the parents. That is why it's up to the parents to decide, to see how much privacy they want to give their child. So that is my take. And I'm going to end by saying that this is a discussion, uncomfortable conversation that needs to be had more and more. And thank you so much, Anjali, for letting me address this. Thank you so much. Take care, teenagers. Thank you.
Thank you, Nija, for such a wonderful input. There is a question that has just come to my mind when I was listening to you. What is it that the parents can do for the education? What is it that schools can do for the education, the colleges can do for the education? Because as you spoke about, it is really a grave area of concern which we need to address. We just cannot let our students, we cannot just let our kids, get lost anywhere, right? They are a very important part of life, our life, and we cannot just risk that. So is there something that the parents can do, the schools can do, and or even the colleges can do, or the people around can do to address this issue?
Absolutely, absolutely, Anjali. It has to happen first, like I said, that we have to be educated and aware of the perils of online content. That is number one. Second is, there has to be systematic orientation of the children when they get online at whatever age, the earliest possible, because children as young as 10 years old, 8 years old, 9 years old have smartphone access now. So as soon as you get that device, you have to talk about the device. There has to be a systematic orientation. Rules have to be spelled out very clearly. And you can, lay it down successively that these are the privileges that you will forego if you don't act with a sense of responsibility. You have to be held accountable for this. Many of us are a little too, lenient. I've done that myself. I wouldn't blame anybody. I would start by saying that I've been the first culprit. We find it difficult to impose all these, strictures and rules with our children. But really, for the sake of their safety, you have to do this. So make it clear to the child that these are the dangers, these are the spots, this is a mess that you can get to, and you are getting this device on these conditions. You have to let us know, where you are and at what time you'll be back and all these things. And then gradually withdraw those privileges if they are not sticking to their promise or the whatever agreement that you have arrived at together. That's very important, because to recover from this it's perilous. To recover from this takes a lot. And why would we want to put precious, promising young lives at this kind of risk? It just does not make any sense. I'm exaggerating it, Anjali, but I believe it's a fight today. It's the minds of our children, whether they are 10-year-old, whether they are 22-year-old, and WHO defines adolescence as starting at 10 and ending at 24. So that is a teenage now we're talking about. We're not talking about 13 to 19. We're talking about 10 to 24. I believe that literally there's a fight for the minds of our children today, because there's a whole market out there wanting the eyeballs, the minds, the hearts of the young, with no, and no penalty to pay for the consequences. They are not going to handle the consequences. When it comes to consequences, it is the parents. So now is the time for the parents to jump into it. We must jump into it. We must question them.
Right.
Yes.
So all this information that you're sharing with us, is it available at some particular website or place wherein we can go, and the parents are not aware of it, that they can go and read this particular information and get the knowledge?
Anjali, there is enough and more knowledge out there. It's just a matter of us, looking for it. Okay. There is enough people are talking about it, enough people are writing about it. However, there are differences in different communities and societies. Perhaps a community in Hong Kong is talking more about it. A community in United States might be getting into it more deeply. Perhaps in India, some of us still have our blinkers on, because with us Indians, there's one more thing, कि मेरा बेटा नहीं कर सकता, मेरे बेटे की कंपनी खराब है, वो कंपनी करती है, not my child. It's always, Sharma ji ka beta or Singh ji ka beta or somebody else, not mine. So there's a problem here. But my point is that we have to wake up. We have to wake up because the world has changed. The radius has grown. It's gone exponentially into the ether. It's not next door anymore. It's not your relative anymore. So accordingly, so to answer your question, there's enough and more content available out there. There are people like me talking and writing about it all the time. So it's a question of getting online and doing your homework. We have to do our homework. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so very much, Nija, for these wonderful answers. My friends, parents, and teenagers, I'm sure you must have understood the perils that are there whenever we demand something for ourselves. So we need to really understand. If we are parents, we have to understand what is the extent to which we can allow privacy to the teenagers, our kids of today. And if you are a teenager, you already know, you're already aware of as to what is happening around you in the social media world, even though you might be locked up in the rooms, in the houses. Why don't you do one thing? Why don't you just figure out, find out, read about these things, which will help you understand what are the perils available, what are the perils that you might face. So whether you are a parent, you are a teenager, it is going to help you out, and it's going to act as your eye openers. I encourage you to educate yourself, and that is what is going to help you live a safe life. And in case you know and realize that neighbors, any teenager neighbor is also facing a similar issue, please do inform their parents also that this is the way they can help themselves out, and make it a point that you read a lot, and that is what is going to help you understand the teenagers better, and teenagers would be able to understand their parents better. Thank you so very much, Nija, for joining us on the Anjali Show. Friends, in case you also have a message to share with us, you can also join us. If you are an influencer, if you are a professional speaker, trainer, coach, consultant, and if you have a message to share with the world, feel free to connect with us on 9717800032. Alternatively, you can also write back to us at theanjalishow@gmail.com. Thank you so much. Bye, Nirja. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.